Hi, David Odell here with Odell Complete Concrete. What we're going to be doing here is a concrete raised curb right on the property line. That existing wood fence you see there is actually on the neighbor's property. They just mounted some steel posts to some old existing concrete and then hung some wood on that. And what we're going to be doing is doing a raised curb that's actually going to be level on the top, regardless of what the existing concrete's doing. We're going to start at 4 inches high off of the existing and just run a string line straight on through level, and we're going to form it to match that. We're going to build off of the top of the existing, and then we're going to hang a 2x10 on the inside face, which is the face towards us. The back side will be just whatever works, basically, to meet that existing, because it's up and down like a yo-yo basically. There's an existing irrigation line there. We dug around it not to disturb it so we could expose either end to see if it was actually live or not. And after digging around here, we found that it was just an old abandoned line. Another thing this raised curb is going to be doing is we're going to be sinking some galvanized steel post in the top of it about every 8 feet, 6 to 8 feet apart. And then these particular posts are designed for a wood fence build, and that's what's going to happen here. Inevitably, we'll wet set the steel post, the galvanized post, and then we're going to go ahead and cut all the 2x4s. And it's a U-channel post that are going to be stabbed in there, so it notches in right with a 2x4, and then you just hang your pickets off of that. But we're going to show the end result at the end of this video. There's a drain line that was running backwards. It's one of those type of drains that really don't drain to the front where it's supposed to go until the water actually fills up, builds up pressure, and then pushes out, because there's no slope. That garage floor is probably level with the city sidewalk. This is an older community, so when they put these things in back in the day, they didn't really worry about elevations. Most everything was just done level without any kind of slope. But as you can see by the ribbon driveway, they had a lot of dirt area to absorb water, so that worked to some degree. There's that 2x10 that I was talking about hanging on the inside face of this raised curb. So once we have this established, we're just going to stack wood on top of that existing concrete, and it doesn't really matter if that wood on the other side is above the top of the 2x10, because we can just float across level from the 2x10 to make everything level. So I'm not going to rip a whole bunch of lumber to meet that existing concrete, because it would just be a waste of a lot of lumber. So I'm just going to stack it high and float level across. And those posts are actually going to be my bracing. And what I'm using is 1x4. It's true 1x4 actually. It's not 3/4 by 3.5. It's really 1x4. Because that's what I needed to get from the post to where the saw cut is. As you can see, I had to do a little ripping there because of that step down to the gate there. But for the most part, everything was reusable. I'm going to splice on so I can get this full length. I'm just going to nail this whole length right here on the ribbon and then carry it into place. And just to be sure that I can get that back form out, because it's going to be wedged in between those posts, I'm going to probably just put like a 16 penny nail in between the metal post and my form. That way it gives me a little space so I get that 16 penny out, and then I can wiggle that around a little bit and jerk it out of there when I go to strip. And I'm going to go ahead and strip this thing same day, because I'm going to use a special type of concrete mix here. Because what's happening as we're building this, we got some water drainage issues. the neighbor property basically drains into this yard. So we're going to use some concrete here that even when the water goes in there, the type of mix I'm going to be using will actually push the water away from the fresh concrete. What it's going to be is 4,500 psi, and I'm going to put 2% polar set in it. So when the concrete hits this hole, it's actually going to deflect the water away from it and set up very quickly. That's the bracing technique there. Nothing's attached to the wood fence. There's just a couple little braces here and there. A couple little wedges. And then of course I'm going to use some motor oil. Actually it's my used motor oil. It's a Mobil 1 synthetic right out of my truck. And what I did with that, just to make it spray out of my garden sprayer, pump up garden sprayer there. It's a 1 gallon. I diluted a little bit with some diesel fuel, and it's the same diesel fuel I put in my tractor. I just save a little bit for this specific application, and it really works beautiful. It preserves the wood and it acts as a release agent. So instead of getting one use out of this particular wood, as I oil them, it preserves the wood, and then I can just keep using them over and over and over. It's really conservative, you could say. But this is the mixed. Now if there was any standing water in that hole, this concrete would just push it right on out. It wouldn't even affect it. And as we poured this, I noticed I'm getting ready to strip this. Oh, those are fiberglass 3/8 bars we put in there. It's not steel, in other words, so I don't have to worry about rust, because basically I've created a dam. This is actually a working dam here. So knowing that, it's good that we use the fiberglass, because it's not going to rust ever. It'll never change. Hot, cold, water, it just stays the same forever. But I did notice some water building up behind this curb face, and I was getting ready. I was thinking, well, I'm going to strip this and face it, strip it, get the job done, clean it up, roll on out. And we had a good inch water buildup behind this, and I still went ahead and stripped this thing from pour to finish, 2 hours, and stripped out with this particular mix design. Now we're sinking the posts. I have a magnetic level there, which came in really handy on these galvanized steel posts. And because of the mix I used, once I sunk them in, they didn't move. It's not like, well, some mixes you put them in there and they start leaning one way or the other. This particular mix was thick enough and rich enough that wherever you put it, it just stays. We're about an hour into this job at this point, and this is the top edge going on. We got a 1/2 inch radius edge, and as I edge it, I knock out the trowel mark. I'll edge it one time. Once I get done edging here, then it's time to strip. So the beauty of this curb going in level, well, for both property owners, actually it's really beautiful, because that whole fence can come out off of that old existing, and that can be poured over to the top of curb or whatever to get positive drainage to the front yard. Because we're going to have a new fence on the actual property line. This particular concrete came out of Cemex. I believe they're the largest producer of cement in the world. And I've ordered mixes like this particular mix design, 4500, 2% puller set, and you'd never know anything was in there because it still takes a long time to dry. But with this particular company, it looks like I got what I ordered because it really went off. So the overall depth of the concrete pour was 18 inches, which was perfectly, because these particular metal fence posts are designed to be embedded 18 inches. So the math worked out with 6-foot pickets. We're not going to do a brush finish on this. We're just going to leave it smooth because there's not going to be any pedestrian traffic on there, so we don't worry about slip resistance at this point. Anyway, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next video. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell so you can be notified when the next video goes up. Have a good day.